This is so much fun.
Yeah, this is so interesting to me,
It is very interesting.
especially since I've got bad eyes and I have so many
Oh.
questions about stuff.
And you
Oh,
can't.
Jan was asking questions for me.
She did.
Did he? Okay, I figured.
You had a lot of stuff. Questions you had?
I was curious about those new drops he was talking about for the floaters when I have get those injections in my eyes.
Yeah, could you still use them?
Could I still use them?
You get Eylea and some other.
Eylea and Avastin.
Yeah.
Avastin, yeah, you should be able to. There was nothing there that said that you couldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and saying because it's vitamin and it's so there shouldn't be any interference with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
And doctor, you probably answered this question before, but what is the correlation between dry eye and blurry vision? Like if a person, like for example, with my mom, I noticed like when her eyes are really dry, they get like blurry, and then once I put the drops in it, then it's off. She can see better.
Oh, yeah.
Same with me, I guess, or it gets really dry, scratchy.
Yeah.
You're there.
Great question. And that's a lot of the people that come in with blurry vision will check them and saying it's not a whole lot of change in your prescription, but it's dry eye. And it's the tear film is the front surface of your eye.
Okay.
And if that's not proper, if it's too thick, too thin, there's not enough, it's going to affect everything. And a lot of people, and I don't know if you've ever been driving, been a little tired and whatever, and all of a sudden you yawn and your eyes water up a little bit, and then you say, whoa, it's so clear out there, and saying, yeah, because they've been dry. So a dry eye is a big reason for blurry vision. And saying, so we tell people, if you on the computer and you're getting blurry, you're getting tired, put a drop in. They go, well, my eyes don't feel dry. I say, it's dryness, because it's you're staring at a computer, your eyes are open, they're drying up, and saying, I don't care what age you are, and saying everybody could use those drops. And saying it just to take that, put a moisture drop in, get that front surface of the eye nice and wet. And it's like if you take a drop and just put it on a piece of glass and a drop of water and let it dry, it's going to leave a little film.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you put another drop on, it clears up. Exact same thing. So you put that drop in, it leaves a little film. You want to keep that. And that's why we blink 15 to 25 times a minute that we don't think about. You start thinking about it, you go, but it's 15 to 25 times a minute that you blink to replenish your tears and to come in. And I tell people that with the computer, just doing that. And the other thing with the computers is they came, I don't know if you heard this 20-20-20 rule that it's, and I still think that was kind of crazy. I said, it's good that you put the 20-20-20 rule in just to get people thinking about their eyes, but not every 20 minutes. You can put an alarm clock next to you, and every 20 minutes, okay, I got to look up and for 20 seconds. And I mean, it's just not going to work. What it is it's just to take that little break every now and then, look something far away, let those eyes relax. I tell people every now and then, just close your eyes when you do it. Just keep them closed for a little bit, and just let them rehydrate, and then go back into it, and you're fine. And it's a lot of times people just do that. They just close their eyes, and like I do in church sometimes. I'm just rehydrating. That's
I have a question. Dr. Houdek, beyond secondary cataracts, my husband's had surgery. Do they keep on happening as lifetime? Do they have to still get them redone again after the secondary cataract? I'm just curious. How many times do people get their eyes worked on? Is it possible that there's a limit, or?
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent question. So the secondary cataract it's people say, well, boy, I just had cataract surgery. What's that? The lens in your eye is what fogs up. That's what we call a cataract. All it is a dirty lens. That lens sits in a bag in the eye. We call it a capsule. They open the front of the capsule. They use ultrasound, break this lens apart, vacuum it out, get all that out, and they put the new lens right back in the capsule. That's where nature put it. That's where we want to keep it. So that's the best place for it. So everything's great. The problem is the back of the capsule's still there. But they got to keep that there to keep that bag centered, to let that lens settle down. It's got to stay at least 3 months to keep it settled. Okay, but the bag itself can fog up. And that's what we call a secondary cataract. So that bag fogs up. That the good news now is you just go in back to the doctor's office and they go, yeah, it's fogged up. They put a drop in your eye, dilate it, and they hit it with a laser. And it's just right in an office procedure, takes about 30 seconds, depending on how dense it is. And then they say, goodbye, go home. You don't even need drops after that one. And what it does is that again, it's like a filmy piece of saran wrap. And it just, when a laser hits it, it just pulls it right apart. It's like someone holding a piece of saran wrap here and somebody else take a knife to it and you're holding it really tight. And when you take a knife, it just pulls apart and they can see again. And that's it. So there's nothing else with the lens afterwards. 99% of the time, that lens can have other problems with the bag can move in that, but that's extremely rare.
So it shouldn't be done again and again that you know of. That should pretty much take care of it then. 'Cause
That should take
we've
care of
had
it.
a gamut of everything. We've had a stroke in one eye that we're constantly getting a shot for. And it's just like, and it's amazing that we're seeing things when they put a hole in somebody's eye for pressure, when the pressure drops don't work. We've had a second eye worked on and they go in and the pressure isn't quite right. They can milk the eyeball so the pressure goes down. I'm learning all just different kinds of weird things. As a medical record, career background, I didn't realize all this stuff still goes on. It's amazing. What a field.
What's amazing is I tell people that the eye is just an incredible little organ. So you think about, we have the optometrist and we take care of the vision, get kind of like what's going on. But with the ophthalmologist, okay, so they have special ophthalmologists that specialize in plastics of the face and the eyelids. Okay, they can do 7 to 8 different procedures on your eyelids. Okay, then you have the cornea people. So the front part of the eye, for the clear part and the white part, there's a specialist for that. That just takes care of that, and they have that. So we have the corneal specialist. Then you have the glaucoma specialists. Okay, they take care of it. They can do their surgery. They can do everything they want, and each one of these can do 5 to 6, 7 different types of procedures for their particular thing. Then you have the cataract specialists. Okay, and most ophthalmologists will do that, and saying depending, but the general ophthalmologists, they take care of the cataracts. Then you have the retina people. Okay, there's actually 2 types of retina people. There's the ones that just do medical, there's the ones that do surgical too. So you have those. Then you have neuro ophthalmologists that we deal with the brain and the eye that goes on. Then you go back and you have the pediatric ophthalmologists that deal with the muscles and alignment. And so you have 7 kind of sort of specialists for the eye, that little organ. You think your heart is how important your heart is. You don't have 7 different. One guy's going to I'm going to take care of your ascending aorta, and I'm going to take care of your ventricle, and I'm going to take care of your. There's a couple different ones, but they're just looking at that. And then you have, even in optometry, we have different specialties that we can do, and we do a lot of vision therapy just with the muscles and stuff and prisms. And it's an amazing thing and every little tissue in the eye can have a specialist for it, and that's how complicated it is.
Yeah,
and we scratch our heads and go, this.
Yeah, I had a procedure last year. It's funny you mentioned that film thing. I went just for a normal checkup, but I was telling my doctor that my vision seemed blurry at times. And when he examined me, he was like, no wonder you can't see. You have this film over your eyes. And it wasn't that I couldn't see, it was just that things weren't sharp. And so they did this laser procedure, like you said, to blast the little thing, and I could see that breaking up, And I could not believe how sharp my vision was after they did it. I was like, I didn't know what I couldn't see, and it did make a difference.
Yep, exactly. And people don't know. They come in and go, I think I got cataracts are back, and coming in.
Right.
That clouding of the capsule can occur within 24 hours of the first surgery.
Oh, wow.
Or it could be 10 years afterwards. It can get.
Mine was like 4 years after. Yeah.
Which is normal. Wow. And saying, but we had a patient, and she had some very, very bad cataract in one eye. And she didn't want to get it done. She was afraid, and she just relied on her other eye. Finally, the other eye developed cataract. So they said, we're going to do the bad one first. And they told her, you will have good vision for 24 to 48 hours, and then it's going to go bad again. And she did. It was 48 hours. I saw her day 3, and I said, yep. I said, the lens looks good, that the surgery went well, but now that bag is all foggy. They have to wait 3 months. Then they'll go ahead and zap it, and you'll be okay. And she did. And that was like 8 years ago, and I still see her, and she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I
Yeah.
should have done it." I
Me
go, yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't. Yeah, and exactly what you said. You don't know what you're missing because it's
Mhm.
sometimes just a slow
Right.
process,
Mhm.
and that's when you don't.
Mhm.
It's when you have acute things that people come in and be worried about, and especially with acute, and especially with those older us. With if you've heard of the vitreous detachments or retinal
Mhm.
detachments.
Yeah,
Mhm.
my brother had one. He said it's like somebody pulled a curtain over
Right.
his vision. He
Yeah, I
went
tell
right to
people.
the hospital.
Yeah. Now the vitreous is the gel inside the eye, and it's there to give form and shape to the eye, and it's good. But as we become more mature, it liquefies and shrinks. It's attached in your eye, in the very back, around the nerve and around the macula, which are very, very tiny little things. In the front, it's attached behind your color part. So in relationship, the front's this big and the back is this big, and the thing is shrinking. So as it's shrinking, it's going to pull off the back naturally. I was told by the time we're 80, 100% of the people living on the planet are going to have that come off. What do we do about it? Nothing, because it's natural. But 10% of the people will have it come off the front. And that's when it can grab the retina and tear the retina or lead to worse, a detachment. Now, the signs and symptoms of when that's happening between it coming off the back or coming off the front are the same. And it's people say, I got some flashing lights in my vision. Maybe it started a little bit yesterday, and about every half hour or hour, I get this flash of light. Good, I want to see you. When? Right now. They go, well, it's just a little flash of light, and that's all it is. Good. It's Sunday afternoon. Good. I'll meet you at the back door of the office. And I want to see you. Because that could be either popping off the back or coming off the front. And if it comes off the front, if it grabs that retina, we got to treat that ASAP, because a retinal tear, they laser it. It's a stitch in time. Detachments, it's like a curtain coming down. And I tell a lot of people that said, the people that have detachments should have seen their eye doctor 2 days before.
Wow.
Okay, because they were having the flashing lights. I've got these lights are flashing. It's been going on for a few days, maybe about a week now. Now my vision, I can't see over here.
Wow.
Looking and saying, sure enough. Now retinal laser surgeries, they can do that in the office. Detachment that's not happy. People, it's not good surgery, because if it's detached on the side, so that you got this big detachment on the side, well, what they do is they put an air bubble in your eye to push it back on. Well, guess what air does? It goes up.
Yeah.
So the person has to lay like this for 48 hours.
Wow.
You gotta get the air bubble to push everything back up again. And then you go in, and then they do their surgery to reattach it. But people say, I don't want to do that. It's like, you're going to lose your vision, because once it detaches, that detached area is non-seen. It's left, gone. They can push it back on and get it back on. So flashes of light, and there's a difference too, because if you have migraines, and anybody that gets migraines gets the light flash with migraines, they're two little different. So when I talk to people, we talk about which one it is, and saying they're just a little bit different on how we approach that.
Yeah, mine's like wavy, like I haven't had it for a long time, knock on wood, but the retinal migraine will be like,
Retinal, yeah.
and I can't see. It's like all of a sudden I can't see, and I close my eyes, and 20 minutes later it's gone.
Well,
and no headache. It's like strange. But
those will last 15 minutes to half an hour, and then they're gone, and that's it. Whereas the detachments are going on for, well, it happened about an hour ago, now it's happening now, and it happened. I got a couple of going out and saying, yeah, that's too long. If it's going more than a half an hour, we want to take a peek at that and get a look and see what's going on.
I think I asked you this in the past, but I've had LASIK like 25, 30 years ago, and I can't see as well in the dark, like dim lit rooms. Like if I go to see a play and I'm sitting in the audience, I can't see, the actors and stuff are a little blurry. You think those yellow glasses that you can wear at night to drive might help to see a little bit better in the auditorium?
Yeah, it's not going to hurt. And saying when you're in the auditorium, something like that, is that your pupil's going to get bigger because there's less light where you're at. So your pupil's going to expand, and you might be getting out to some of that laser, that edge of where they had to create the flap to go like that. And that's the same true with people who say if they've had cataract surgery with certain types of implants. When that pupil gets big, they're seeing the edge of the implant, saying, yeah, you can sometimes, depends on how big your pupil gets. Putting on those glasses could help. The yellows could help a little bit. You know, talk about that, saying it's not going to hurt, and saying you don't want too dark a yellow, but
I find myself squinting when I'm sitting there. And again, I think I mentioned that I have a little bit of, when I look at the moon or certain things, I see a little shadow on the right. So I see it almost like a moon and a half. And it just drives me nuts, but it doesn't bother me that much because I haven't had to wear glasses for 25 years, and mine were like really thick. But it bothers me when I'm in dim light, like driving and seeing concerts or plays, you know.
and some of that too is it's interesting is besides just your checking you for the power of the lens, there's other little aberrations that come in with the cornea, and it depends on how the light's passing through that clear tissue. The cornea's not thick, but it's not too thin either. But as it goes through that medium, it can bounce around in the medium, come out. Now, if you've had surgery in a certain area, it could take a little different path and cause little aberrations that you see. And we call that coma. There's about 4 different things that we look at and saying, so there's certain little tests that we can do for that. The problem is we don't have any good things to solve it besides a tint. Put it where the best prescription you can and try a tint. I like, you said the yellows. It seems like some of the browns, but even some of the blue tints can help out for some people, especially on a computer. They say they like them. Either the brown or blue tint on the lens will make it feel a little better.
Ever since then, since I had a real bright lights are bother me too. I'm like,
Oh, me too.
you know, it's I kind of squint like sunlight hitting a chrome on a car.
Yeah.
It's like so
I'd say that's getting a good pair of sunglasses. Now you can they do make polarized yellow, because it used to be just polarized brown or green, a dark for a sunglass, but they can come in with lighter colors. Now the only problem with some of the polarized colors that were before, they were not cheap. Okay, but I think you probably can get something online now, because we've requested some polarized yellows in a prescription, and some of the labs now they're not even making them anymore. And they said they do so few of them, and the bad news is they're getting bought out by all these corporations, and they only do so many things, and that's it. And we're having, you're limited in what you can do.
I know we're supposed to be wearing really good lenses out in the sun, like to protect from UV. Is there a particular lens that we should be looking for to protect our eyes more? I mean,
If it says it's UV 400, that's the standard, and polarized. Now you can go to the dollar store and get a UV 400 polarized, but it depends on the quality of the lens, the quality of the plastic that it's in too. There's one thing that I just mentioned when we talked about the UV. There's an implant now that they put in your eye after cataract surgery, and you wear UV block glasses. You go back for your one day, they check it. You go back for your 1 week post-op. If you have a little prescription that it didn't quite fully correct, they take you to another room and they use a UV light, and it changes the lens inside your eye. And they put your prescription in it so that it's perfect. You wear your UV glasses, you come back in another week. If that prescription's off just a little bit, you have a little astigmatism, they can program that in. It changes the lens in your eye. They can do it up to 3 times. Then when they're done, then hopefully you have 0 prescription for distance at all. There's nothing there at all. And they lock it in, and you're good for the rest for everything. So that's the newest one out. Not a lot of docs are using that, because I think that's something that's about $25 to $27, $3,000 per eye for that one. But a lot of people are saying some of the doctors saying, well, we're not that far off anyways. Is it worth just for that little bit? Why don't you go with a multifocal? Because they don't have a multifocal on that one yet. But that was just off the thing, because you mentioned the UV, and I remember, UV, they have that's the new thing on the market. But UV protection in sunglasses, good sunglass, Like Ray-Ban sunglasses, you want to go Oakley sunglasses. We have a brand here called Maui Jim, are very, very good lenses.
What was that? What was the name of it? Maui?
Maui Jim, Maui GIM.
Okay.
That brand, the Oakleys, the Ray-Bans have always been fantastic lenses.
Yeah, I
And
think
some
I
people-
need to invest in something other than the dollar store brand. Although I can, it's weird when I wear dark lenses like gray or, brown, I can't see as well
Right.
as I can with the lighter
The little lighter
Yeah.
colors, yeah.
lenses. So maybe I'll check them out. Invest in my eyes.
Yeah, and saying
So-
and a lot of people say, well, boy, that's expensive, and I don't want to get that one or whatever, and because I lose them all the time, and saying, but if you invested in it, you're gonna make sure you don't lose it.
Right,
it's gonna be
right.
something you keep around. And saying,
Is
so
that
whether
something-
you don't pay a lot, say, well, so what?
The Maui gym is, at your office, if we decide, if I wanted to come, do I have to, is it like you have an optometrist there, or do I get them from them,
Yeah.
or
Oh no,
do I
you can
make an
just
appointment?
no, we can, if you're just coming in you can just come in for look at glasses or sunglasses, you don't have to have an appointment. We have two
Okay.
opticians that are here that take care of that.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And the Maui gyms, depending on the frame, and I think they can go for like 175 to 200 or up to 300, depending on the frame you pick in the lenses. And they have a series of lenses. I had one, it was actually it was 20 years ago that I got it, and they were called Ice, and they were what the race car drivers wear.
Oh.
But the lens itself was 10 layers of materials.
Wow.
It was a glass on the front and the back to make sure it didn't scratch, which glass is the best anti-scratch, but it's also heavier. So they put a really thin coat, and then 8 layers. Some was polarized and UV block and this and whatever. And they were great. I remember buying them, and they were $125 cost to buy these. And I said, well, what do they retail them for? He goes, oh, they retail for $350. I go, I'm not going to have anybody, 20 years ago buying some sunglasses for $350.
Uh-huh.
So I said, we're going to sell them for $175, just that to see what it is. And we ended up selling 3 of them over 2 years. But they're very good. And I don't even think they make them anymore, but they're a very good one. And so I said, shoot, I took the other 2, and my brother took one, and it's at the bottom of the lake right now.
Oh, that's the thing.
Randy, I won't lose it.
I'd probably have those things on the lenses,
Yeah, those little
they're on the things with the
Trophy
string.
set that keep.
Yeah, yeah.
He says, I was protecting those, and I go, okay.
Now, do you recommend sunglasses that kind of wrap, like around the side, or
Yes.
does it matter?
It depends on the person whether how much of you want blocked, and they do have some. Actually, Amazon has some good ones now that go on, and I don't think, but you put these on right over your own glasses. You can put them.
Yeah.
You can wear them with or without, and they have some really good ones for not very expensive. And saying those are good too, and saying the name brands are going to be the name brands, and saying, but
Right.
try one of those, and saying they have. What I like is the advertisement for you have a military guy standing there, and these are Marine based or whatever, and these are like thermonuclear protection.
Mhm.
That's the sun. The sun is thermonuclear. It's the sun. So, but they use big words and saying, and they have these polarized lenses and saying, yeah, that's a UV black polarized sunglass. That's and they sell them for like $19.95, and you order right now, you can get a second pair for your friend. And I'm going, yeah, but it's as long as it's polarized and whatever is, if you can see fine with it, no problems at all. So that's good. And now they have the blue block for your computer screens.
Mhm.
And the kicker on that one is the medical studies have come out, and there is not enough. Here's the good news. There's not enough blue light coming off of any of your devices to harm your eyes.
Oh.
So that's good news. So they're not making any recommendations for blue black lenses. I read the study and I said, that's a fantastic study, and I completely agree with you. We now know the eyes aren't going to blow up. They're not going to disintegrate. They're not going to bleed. They're looking at physical damage. So there's not enough blue light coming off these things to physically damage your eye. Perceptually, whole different ballgame. And perceptually, people say, they say all the time, they said, I bought some of those blue black glasses. I go, yeah, how do you like them? They go, well, they were good. I said, how much were they? $20. I said, if you feel more comfortable and it cost you $20 for 8 to 10 hours a day of wear, I said, they're fantastic. But they have done studies, though they're not scientific studies because it's an opinion. So they had 100 people have these glasses, 50 got plain, 50 had blue black. Nobody knew what they had. Ask them questions before you get them. 2 months later, ask them questions. More of the people that had the blue black said they felt better than the people that had the plain ones.
Mhm.
So by that, but it's not a double-blind mask study that goes all with these studies and saying, but you can't study it that way. And you can't study perception that same way. So it's a little different way to study it. But if more of the people said, yeah, we like this better, it's saying, hey, and if it's only going to cost you $20 and you're going to use them all year, go ahead and get them. It's not going to hurt
Okay.
you. And it's
I find when I look at, like, if I'm bad, I look at the phone like at night, and after I've looked at it for 10 minutes, I put it down and I see the white, the white from the screen. Yeah, I know it probably affects my sleep, but is that something common to see that, the brightness, or should I turn the screen down when it's
Yeah,
real?
people do everything. That's a great question. Great. It is common to see that and be it, especially at night, because we're more fatigued, and you're gonna hold it up a little bit closer. It's just,
Mhm.
it just causing more irritation. But it's not, the good news, it's not physically damaging anything. And that's what we know. It's
Or
not physically-
sometimes I'll see a little dark spot, like after I shut the phone off, I'll see the white, and then it'll turn dark, and then it'll all of a sudden, I'll be able to see better.
and
But
that's called an after image. And doing that too. And
after
it's like
image,
after image of that, you've been staring at that one thing for so long, you're really not moving your eyes much, you're not blinking much, so you're staring at it, and that little area is fatigued, tired, and so when you look up, all of a sudden you see something. And that's like looking at, if you ever seen any of those fun little things, you look at something that you can't figure out what it is, you stare at it for 30 seconds, then you look at a white wall, all of a sudden you see a face of something and going, yep, it's the retinal fatigue. So you stare at it because you're not moving. But same thing when you're at night, you're looking at your phone and you're staring at it, you're not moving all around, and it's fatiguing the cells, and they fatigue. It takes them a little bit longer to recover, especially that we're more mature.
that's
We
good to
had,
know. I'm not going blind for my
And it
my
won't
cell
cause any
phone.
damage.
we had an
Yeah.
interesting thing happen. My husband had that hole put in his eye for pressure, and his eye was leaking too much from him. He had 2 stitches in it. So they released one of the stitches because they didn't like the pressure. And when they released the stitch, it kept on leaking, and it was like bleeding out the pressure. So he had to sleep in a contact for a week. And we're like, how they tell you don't sleep in a contact, but it was used as a Band-Aid. So it sealed itself, and but he was worried because he had a really bad headache, and his pressure when he got that stitch released got really low, and that's why he had the contact in. But I'm glad we went in there for that too, because we didn't understand all that. So it's amazing what they can do. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The contact lens. Yeah. I've been putting contact lenses as bandages for 30 years, but they actually didn't come out with supposedly bandage contacts until about 20 years ago. But all it is, it's a contact, just square it in your eye, and people go, what? Yeah, just keep it in. Just put drops over it, keep it nice and moist, put drops over it, it seals. And that's like if you cut your hand and you do this to it 15 to 20 times a minute, that's going to hurt. You put a Band-Aid over it, you do it, and it's not too bad. So we put the contact on because it's on the cornea, which is the sensitive. So now your eyelid goes over the contact and not the thing, so it feels better. Now besides the bandage contact lens for people with severe dry eye or problems, we use amniotic membranes. And it's kind of like a huge contact lens we put on there's a couple different types. We put that on, and you keep it in for about 3 days and it dissolves. But the good news about the amniotic membrane is that it stimulates your cells to start doing their job again. And it's one of those. Again, the amniotic membrane is not cheap, and we have to try to get prior auth on that one to go. But a lot of people, you put it on and it starts to stimulate. It only lasts for about 3 days, but it helps to stimulate their cells to wake up and do the job. Whereas a bandage contact is just for the few minutes.
Wow.
It's not a little bit. But amniotic membranes are a fun thing. There's a couple different kinds, and we've used them a few times. Okay.
Very interesting presentation. We have 9 minutes and 10 seconds left, everybody. I don't know if you guys want to, I don't think session number 4 is necessary. We can
No.
just wrap
Yeah.
up in here.
Yeah.
As
that's
always. Great
No,
This
job.
has been very informative. Unfortunately,
Yes.
you don't have that much time to spend with your doctor to ask questions or get
Mhm.
information. So I really appreciate all of this. It's been
Yes.
very informative.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Very
Thank
good.
you very much again for having me. And we do it our once a year thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Hook it up.
We'll call you.
One last question.
Sure.
For aging eyes, the best thing to do is, okay, I use my dry eye drops. I use warm compresses. I'm going to start using hot compresses. And I do try to limit my screen time. I'm not always successful at doing that. Any other tips to preserve your vision as you get older?
Yeah. Distance vision, just trying to get to relax. And the other thing that one thing I like to tell a lot of people is one of the things you want to move the eye muscles because you're always doing this close work, eye rotations. So you want to roll those eyes in a big of a circle. And this is not like way when you're a kid and you looked at your mom and said, yeah, sure, mom, I want to do that. So you want to stretch those muscles. So I tell people, you want to look up as high as you can, look to the side, get way over to the side, way down, way to the side, and just
Okay.
in a slow 4 or 5 times one way, slow 4 or 5 times the other way. You do it a couple times and you just go, oh, that kind of hurts. And that's because you're using the muscles that you haven't been using.
Okay.
You want to
Okay.
stretch them and a good rotation. I mean, some people I'll have and I'll say, roll your eyes, and they go, no head movement. And with little kids, and this is with little kids that have reading difficulties, I'll have them say, roll your eyes, and they go, and they just look up. They can't move them, or they'll move move their jaw. They can't move their eyes. I said, that's your reading problem. Your reading problem is not dyslexia. It's not that you don't know. Your eyes aren't working well together. You should be able to freely just move them. And we do a ton of work with kids that they just don't move their eyes properly.
Okay. Okay.
And so that as far as the exercise, eye rotations.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
And
That was a
one
good
last
sum.
question. How much was that procedure for the cataract surgery? I know you said the insurance covers like the putting the new lens in, and you said for the actual surgery itself it's 2,000 or 3,000, or maybe I missed.
For the multifocal part of it.
Oh, multifocal.
So multifocal is 2,000 to 2,500 to the doctors we send to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because I know for a fact that that's the cost of that lens.
Oh,
Okay, so I have a patient that I wanted to refer to to the doctor, and he says, I want to go see I have this other doctor I want to go see. I said, that's fine. I said, I'll follow you afterwards. Go ahead. And so he did it. He's doing fine. He's 20/20 distance, 20/20 up close. Everything's great. And he asked me at the end, he goes, I do have a question to ask you. I said, what's that? And he goes, well, my doctor charged me $3,500 for those. And he says, do you have any reason why? And I said, I'm glad you're sitting down. And he goes, why? And I said, because I know for a fact those are $2,500 the cost. And the doctor that you saw that probably makes 10 times your salary took $2,000 out of your pocket and put it in his. And I said, because I know those lenses, that's why I refer you to these doctors, because they don't want to charge you. Matter of fact, one of the doctors has a friend in Miami, $5,000 an eye.
Wow.
whoa.
And he's busy all the time. It's Miami. But up here they said, we're going to give you the cost of that lens, and we're not going to charge you anything more for it. So there's a lot of good doctors around that do that. But I know there's doctors that they'll charge you $3,500, and it just they justify it as that. Well, I had to talk to them a little bit more. I had to do one more test, and we said, no, these are the doctors you refer to. They're very good, and that's what we want. like the glaucoma specialists that you see, if anybody's seen Dr. Siegel, the Glaucoma Center in Michigan, if they do it, they're at the 2,000 to 2,500 depending on the lens, and we've got a lot of doctors around that do that. So I want to make sure people won't spend extra for that if you're thinking about it.
Well, thank you so much, doctor. It's always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you.
Okay, have a good day. Have a good year.
Thank
You
you,
too.
Bye, everyone. See you,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
see you next time.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.